Coming up on this episode of the Spiro Podcast.
It looks like balance. It looks like balance and having boundaries. Because I like what I do. I mean, look, guys, the reason we got into this was for freedom in some sense, right? Like we wanted to be able to manage our own time. We wanted to have financial freedom. And if you find yourself in your business and you're just minute to minute, hour to hour, and you get home at the end of the day and you're just zonked and you got nothing left, there's days that feels good, but every day on end, it doesn't work. And I feel like if you're at that point, you've kind of forgotten the big picture, which is you're here to have a better quality of life than you would have had if you were a 9-to-5 employee. I mean, that's the idea, right? That's like the perfect paradise.
Welcome to the Spiro Podcast, managing your real estate photography and videography business. With your hosts, Todd Kivimaki and Craig Magrum.
Hi, and welcome to the Spiro Podcast, managing your real estate media business. Spiro is a software platform. It's designed to help you manage your day-to-day real estate photography and videography business, but ultimately to help you grow and scale as well. It's a great tool to manage and take a lot of things off your plate. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Craig Magrum, and along with me each and every week, of course, our founder and owner of Spiro, Todd Kivimaki. Good morning, Todd.
Good morning, Craig. Hey, what a beautiful Friday morning it is for me here, us here. Well, maybe at least me, but hey, I've got something for y'all to look up. I'm a bit energized here. I've had plenty of coffee. I went to a concert last night. I went to a Brandon Lake concert. You all know I love my Christian music, and Pat Barrett was there. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Pat Barrett, but he has written a ton of popular Christian songs, and he's a singer as well. He's a pastor's son. Anyways, long story short, look up Pat Barrett, and it's called I've Got a Fire, and watch the music video. If you need a laugh, this ties in really well with our guest and the topic. But if you need a laugh, and you all do, I know you all are like me and you take yourselves way too seriously. Not all of you, I know, but I can be a very serious person. Sometimes you just need to smile. Sometimes you need to wave your hands in the air. Your introverts like, I don't wave my hands in the air. I don't really either. But look up I've Got a Fire by Pat Barrett. It will make you smile. Please watch the music video. Do not watch the music video while driving. That's not what I'm saying. Pull the car over or look it up on your laptop. Show it to your kids, your family. I've Got a Fire. That's what I got this morning.
There's two versions. There's the concert version video, but then there's the produced music video. You want the produced music video version.
Yeah, I did a really dumb thing this morning. I got everybody hyped up on Wow Morning Meeting. I was like, hey, I got this greatest video. And then I sent them the live version, and it doesn't even have what you need to look at. There's dancing with Pat's dad, who's 75 years old. You need to watch the dancing video and watch it all the way through, because it starts up again at the end. So watch all the way through. There's some outtakes, but I've Got a Fire by Pat Barrett.
I had never heard of him, but I watched it, Todd, and I did laugh. I needed that. Thank you. Well, we are very quickly approaching spring. In fact, this weekend when we're recording this, our clocks will jump forward, and realtors are chomping at the bit. Us photographers are chomping at the bit for the spring market to let loose. It's almost there, Todd. We're almost there for everything to open up. So it's going to be a good year. We're looking forward to it. Spiro Updates, always coming along, always taking users' suggestions and input. What's going on with the software right now?
Yeah, so we just pushed an update by the time this would come out for all of you, and there's some good things in there. And I'm not going to sell Spiro today, so check out the release notes.
Excellent.
Mainly because I can't remember what's in it. It's really good stuff, though.
There's always so much. So, all right. Well, we are going to dive right into our topic this week, continuing on featuring our main stage and workshop and breakout speakers from the Spiro Sync conference back in January. And I've really been enjoying this, just learning from all of our great community members and what they have to offer. And this week is no exception. We have a very special guest this week. Todd, I'm going to let you introduce our guest.
Yeah, so this is a perfect topic, especially right now for all of us. This individual just brings so much wisdom and understanding and some fun stories too. But um, he's a great owner. He's in Iowa, another fellow cornfield individual,
Yes.
Clay Whisler with Whisler Studios. Clay, welcome to the show.
Hi, you guys. Thanks so much for having me. This is awesome. I love watching the show, so it's kind of surreal to be here.
Oh, well, it's great to have you on. Thank you for your presentation at Sync. It is such a relevant thing. We're talking about you talked about owner burnout, and that's going to be the topic of our podcast today. And this is something that I think we all focus on our business and we look at the gears that run it, and we tend to forget about ourselves. And we get energized in times because the business grows and does well, and we don't take care of ourselves. And then there can be these crash moments that are, for me, like just some really dark and some lonely moments as I look back over the 23 years of wow. Before we get into that, Clay, though, can you just let us know a little bit about your background, how you got into real estate photography, a little bit about your business and team?
Well, burnout sort of just falls right into my story, so it'll probably just kind of all come out naturally. I graduated college in about 2017 and started selling real estate. That was my first job right out of college. And that was a crazy ride. I learned a lot about real estate, and I started investing in real estate. And I read Rich Dad Poor Dad. Like I wasn't a business major, so I wanted to learn as much about business as I could because I felt like I was coming in at a disadvantage. And so I read a bunch of business books and I was like, okay, I need to start investing in real estate. So I said, I'm going to do a property every year for the rest of my life. I'm going to buy a property. Well, that worked for a little while, but then I burned out. So um, I sold for about 3 years, and then I decided I just didn't want to do that anymore. And one mindset that I had was, I was showing in the evenings, doing open houses on the weekends. And I was like, I can do this. I was like, I can do this for like my whole 20s. But then I was like, never like, what about your 30s though? Like, what about, like, you can't sustain this forever. So I decided I was going to make a pivot, and I went into real estate photography. I saw Eli's course being advertised, and I was like, okay, yes, I think this is what I want to do. I had a relationship with a photographer. I kind of knew how the system worked a little bit. And so I jumped in. And one thing I think that's maybe not so unique about my story, because at Spiro, I heard so many people talking about this at Spiro Sync. They talk about how we as business owners, we like to help people, we like to create solutions. And so we always have all these ideas that are coming into our heads. Like we see a problem, we're like, I could solve that. I bet I could do that really well. I've talked to so many people who are like, yeah, we thought about going into staging or landscaping on top of like what we already offered. And that was kind of my issue, right? I was like, I think I can do it all. And so as I started real estate photography, you betcha, like I still had my license for quite a while. I was still trying to sell real estate. I was still trying to manage my own properties. And then my brother was like, let's get into Airbnb. I was like, yes. So then we got 4 Airbnbs within like 3 years, and we were cleaning those and running those. And by the way, this is all like early 2020s. Like we were doing a lot of the editing in house for our photos. I mean, just like making it so hard on ourselves. I like,
When did you sleep, Clay?
that's the thing, man. That's the thing. Oh, I just look back and I feel so bad for myself. It was not like a super enjoyable time. I'm glad I did the hustle, but I think there's wisdom in knowing that there's seasons in life. And so that's fine if you want to push yourself that hard for a little bit, but you just have to know you're going to have to like let off the gas at some point, or else something will make you let off the gas. You know what I mean?
Sure.
You just you can't will yourself beyond physics. Like that's one of the hardest lessons that I've had to learn in my 20s, was that I'm human. There's only so much I can do. There's only so many hours in a day. No matter how much I tell myself I think I can do it, that's almost ignorant, because what do they say? When you hit the road, it's like, you hit reality, and it's like, okay, what can I actually do? So, and it gets harder the older you get too. Not that I'm old, but I do notice it getting a little harder.
Preach.
Yeah, our brains like to fool us, and we sometimes get our eyes, on the prize way down there. And there's, at least for me, there's always way more involved to get something going. And it's like I get into it, I'm like, oh my goodness, this was a lot more work. It's like, well, it's always a lot more work to do something really good. For sure it is easy. And in our 20, well, I have a 13-year-old. So I think about like what my 13-year-old thinks. And then I look back to myself and I laugh like at some of the things I thought in my 20s and 30s. And so that's good perspective, Clay.
Well, yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's a hard lesson, and something that becomes so important then as you realize that you can't do it all is to delegate, right? And that's so hard when you're a business owner and all of the responsibility for client satisfaction is on your plate, and you want to, just make everybody happy all the time, and they have an expectation. And you guys have talked about that so much, and we all talk about that so much. But something I think that you said, Todd, at Spiro Sync was so great, and that I still think about was, you know, your team wants to help you, and they want to help the business, and so for you to lay a problem at their feet is so important, because that creates solutions, right? Like that's where you guys all start problem solving together, because at the end of the day, you can solve a lot on your own, but you can probably solve it a lot faster if you have help. um, and yeah, you can just get so much farther with help, with VAs and photographers and everybody on your team, and you all have the same goal. So
hmm Yeah, for sure. So in your journey, Clay, tied in with that, there's a point that you hit. So you're spinning not only a real estate plate that you're like, hey, I'm going to get out of it, but you're still spinning the plate. You have a media company now, and now with your brother, you have Airbnbs, and you already had rentals or long-term rentals. So like you're spinning. Did the plates crash, or what was your moment where you went like,
mm,
wait a minute, like, this is not sustainable?
well, first of all, I was not having fun. And that's and just, I wasn't showing up as my best. I was just, you're grumpy when you're just back to back like that. I would drive like 100 miles a day, clean an Airbnb, come home at the end of the day, my car was a piece of crap, and it had terrible suspension, so I just lay on the floor because my back hurt, and I'm just like,
No.
this sucks. uh so it was just like my physical body was like kind of rebelling against me, and thank God I didn't get sick or anything, but I could just feel it, like, physically in my body, like, this is too much. And I remember having this thought, like, it's not meant to be this way. That would just kind of like come surface a lot.
Mhm.
And honestly, thank God for my husband, because he has just talked a lot of sense into me, and like my brain just works weird. Like when we got married, we joined our bank accounts, and I had like 6 savings accounts and 2 checking accounts, and that's all for my personal, and I would, like, allot things differently, and he'd be like, "We need to just simplify this. You think the way you think about things is just, well, you make it way harder than it has to be." And so he's come in, and that's one thing, Todd, he actually is the one who's like, "We're getting a platform management system, like, we're getting a real estate photography platform to, like, do all this stuff." And honestly, I just hadn't found one that I loved. Like for the first 2 or 3 years that I did real estate media, I just didn't find one that I loved, that I felt had a good UI. Um, and by the time that REO came around, like I was so immersed in my business that like I almost just didn't even have time to think about it. So
Mhm.
he got me on Spiro. We love it. We've been really happy with it. It has really taken our business to the next level. I mean, just like from a professionalism standpoint, like I just can't believe I didn't do it sooner. But hindsight's 2020. So yeah, I just hit a wall, and my husband, he kind of wanted to work with me. It's so funny, like the way that you guys are religious, and so you probably know this story, like about the guy who's been hit, his home's been hit by a hurricane, and he's on the roof, and he's like, God, why are you sending me help? And then the boat comes by, and he's like, no, God's gonna help me. It's okay, go ahead. I don't need. That was kind of, I feel like, what was happening with me, because Corey wanted to come on and work with me. And I was like, you sure you don't want to just like, I guess, I just didn't want him to feel like I don't know what I felt like, but I wanted him to be really sure, because that's a big commitment to do a business as a couple. And so he just tried all sorts of different stuff, and then finally one day he's like, "No, I'm not doing anything else. I'm coming on and I'm helping you." I'm like, "Okay." So
Mhm.
he's come on and helped me, and that's like for couples who are in real estate media, that is just like such a cheat code, honestly. If you can get along with your spouse, because you literally have another person who is 100% in it. Like it's their name on it at the end of the day, and it's their behind that's on the line. And so it's like you've literally cloned your passion and put it into another person, because at the end of the day, it's like their livelihood. So they have to make it work too. And that has just been awesome. Like the way he helps take care of our customers and treats everybody and treats the business. I just couldn't ask for better help or a better person. So I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for him. And so that was like my first freebie. Like I kind of got free help, right? To help me out. And it was low hanging fruit. So he came on and he started helping me take pictures, and I did have to offload. So I got rid of 3 of my Airbnbs.
Okay.
And one mistake I actually made in my real estate photography journey before I brought Corey on was I said, okay, I was driving a ton. And I said, I can't drive this much anymore. And what I should have done is brought on another photographer, but it was scary. I was like
Yeah.
26. I was
Mhm.
like, I don't know. So I took my farthest out clients and I said, you know what? It has been such a pleasure working with you guys. You're an hour 15 away from me. Like, I just, like, I just can't serve you right now. There may be another time that I can, but for now, I'm just going to recommend a different provider, which I actually didn't recommend a different provider, but, cause I don't know. That would, I feel like that's really shooting yourself in the foot, even though I already was. But, and it's funny, like some of those people respected it and like they moved on to another provider. And then other people were just like, nah, we're going to keep using you. and, and I even had one realtor who was like, you just need to hire, dude. And I was like,
Oh,
I know.
interesting.
Yeah. Like he had been in business a long, long time, and he knew what I needed to do. So like half of those clients are still with me today, and then the other half I'm still working on getting back. But so that was my big mistake, I would say, just kind of cutting off some of my clients who we could have served if I just would have had help. But when it's all just coming at you so fast and you feel it physically and you're not having fun, it felt at the time like a relief in a way. And it's what I had to do at the time, and I had to learn and uh, figure out what the right option was. But yeah, we've learned from that, and we're continuing to grow every year. And yeah, so that was kind of. And I guess I'll say too before you say that, Craig, is like with my Airbnb stuff. Yeah, I sold 3 of those, and I still have the one because Corey's really attached to it. We renovated it ourselves. We took a year and
Oh,
renovated
wow.
that in the midst of my real estate photography business as well. Um, so but I've delegated. Like I have a cleaner now. I have somebody who responds to all the messages. Like I honestly don't touch it, and that's been really great.
Now, did you start a construction company on the tail end of renovating the house, Clay?
Wouldn't have surprised me.
No, no, yeah, I think Corey's passion is kind of restoration. He loves fixing up old
Okay, got
houses.
it.
So,
Yeah.
and that's how we ended up in this train depot that we live in. We live in an old Milwaukee train depot, and
That's
that's
so
why we
cool.
bought it, was because there were 2 Airbnbs in it, and a realtor approached us off the market. He was like, "Hey, you guys should buy this since you're an Airbnb," and we were like, "Yes, we should." Uh, so yeah, sometimes I bite off more than I can chew. And but you get excited, and there's a rush to it to growing that fast. And you just got to bring your systems up to that level. Otherwise you're going to crash for sure.
So, Clay, there's something you mentioned a couple of times, and it popped out to me immediately, and it was the word fun. You just weren't having fun. And Todd, I'm thinking back to when we had Justin Cyrus on, and
My goodness,
about
yeah.
having fun. So Clay, with the realization that you were no longer having fun, and then making the changes that you have, what does fun look like for you now in the context of avoiding burnout?
It looks like balance. It looks
Mm.
like balance and having boundaries, because I like what I do. I mean, look, guys, the reason we got into this was for freedom in some sense, right? Like we wanted to be able to manage our own time. We wanted to have financial freedom. And if you find yourself in your business and you're just minute to minute, hour to hour, and you get home at the end of the day and you're just zonked and you got nothing left, there's days that feels good, but every day on end, it doesn't work.
It
And
wears.
I feel like if you're at that point, you've kind of forgotten the big picture, which is you're here to have a better quality of life than you would have had if you were a 9 to 5 employee. I mean, that's the idea, right? That's like the perfect paradise that we put in our heads. And so, yeah, you have to kind of just keep fine tuning until you can find balance. And so for me, when I stopped physically editing my own photos in the evenings, people
Yeah.
who come on now to real estate photography, oh my gosh, they have it so easy. Like it's auto HDR. I'm like those lucky kids. You know, when I stopped editing photos and videos on my own, it was like the world opened up in front of me. Like I started like doing things for enjoyment. Me, Corey, and I started to go for walks, and it was like the world just opened up in front of me at that point because I was getting exercise and it was good for my brain and my mood, and I could think, and we were like connecting, and um it was awesome. And I was like, I need more of this. I need to walk every day. And so I got super into walking. Like I started walking 3+ miles a day. And then at the very beginning, you knew I was like really out of sync because I would do it twice. Like we'd go in the morning and then we'd go in the afternoon, like after work. And so I always just tell people, like, if you can get any kind of exercise you enjoy, like we see these crazy, everything is like amplified right now with social media. And that's all something I want to talk about a little bit too in a little bit. But we all see these crazy workouts and that everybody's just doing the most all the time. I'm like a huge proponent of, look, if you can find something that you move your body and just enjoy, that's a win, man. Like, do I wish I was a marathon runner? 100%. I wish I had that skinny marathon body, but like, I'm just glad I like to walk. I'm glad that I have the motivation because I enjoy it to get up and go and do it. Like, yes, that's great. So if you like to do pickleball or, uh, bowling, just anything, I don't know, just getting that time to get out and physically move your body is so important. Um, just that balance and then having boundaries too, right? So one thing that I brought over, a bad habit that I brought over from real estate, was when you're a realtor, and we talked about this at Spiro Sync too, you're just on all the time. And because if you don't answer the phone, they're calling somebody else. And I've kind of brought that fear over into real estate media. And so I would respond to people at all hours. I would I would just be available. And that was part of my burnout too. And when we got a phone management system, that was just last year. That's been just so great to have like set office hours to where if they text the office, they get an automated response that does help them. It shows them they can book online, but it lets them know we're going to get back to them first thing in the morning and help them. Um, and that like in my breakout, that was actually something that like you kind of palpably felt everybody tense up at that. Like they're like, oh wait, you don't like literally 15 minutes we talked about like just are you sure? Like and there's ways like it's all nuanced, right? Like my VA, if somebody texts at like 8 p.m., she does see that, and she's over in the Philippines, so it's like during the daytime for her, so that's super reasonable for her to respond. But if you're a solo shooter, I think that's fine, and I think something we forget too a little bit about our clients is they cheer for us. They cheer for us. It's been so fun watching. If you have a good relationship with them and you invest in them and but try to befriend them and just get to know them as a person, they've said to me, it's been so fun watching you grow, right? We all have that fear of like sending that first photographer out um, to serve your clients. And we're like, well, it's not me, they know me. But I mean, that's just been reassuring to have agents say, it's been so fun to, watch you grow. And as we got Spiro and got the order page and brought in all the photographers and all that, well, not all the photographers by that, I've had two, but um, they love it. It's a story for them, it's an evolution, and we all love that. We all love seeing people succeed. So yeah, I don't even remember what question you asked, but that was just a long rambling one.
What fun looked like, and it sounds like you're having fun.
Yeah.
So
I try, it's hit or miss some days, but I enjoy it a heck of a lot more than I did 3-4 years ago.
I want to rewind to a time in the past, and that time that came when you realized that you were spinning too many plates and you were traveling and you had, looked at a map and it's like, hey, I'm not going an hour 15 anymore. And you had called those clients and let them know. And I think um, that is a terrifying thing for a business to do, is to say no. At least it was for me, to say no to clients. I remembered we had a relationship with a large broker deal in 2 large cities. It was 1,100 shoots that I said goodbye to. Like, I was terrified, but the team, we talked about it. I knew it made the most sense from a metric standpoint, from a team health standpoint, and that we could grow beyond the 1,100 shoots. But I still like, this is 1,100 shoots I'm just going to say goodbye to. And it was terrifying for me. And it was one of the best things ever that we did, is we were able to grow, and we surpassed that by a lot, because it had these chains that were attached to it that weighed us down. Can you think about just, like, if someone out there, Clay, is in that position where they're like, hey, I don't know what the perfect decision is, and nobody ever knows the perfect decision, but it's like, is this right or is this wrong? And now I think, and you said in that story, like, hey, I'm actually trying to, I don't like that I made the decision. I'm working to undo that decision, which is time to implementation. I've talked about this a lot in the past. Is like, just make the decision. And then if it's the wrong decision, make an adjustment. But if you spend forever trying to make that decision, there's a lot more negative repercussions that happen than if you just continue to evolve. So my question, sorry, I'll get to the point. If someone out there is listening and in this position, Clay, to where, like, they're in their car and their suspension is not, like, they're feeling the pain of business, either in their back, and that they're tired, or that they are cranky to their significant other, their kids, whatever it may be, and they're just hating it. Like, every client that comes in, they're like, why do you need that? Like, why would you need a photo of the living room? That's so silly. What what would you suggest for them to analyze? Like, what helped you actually make that decision, pick up the phone call, and move forward?
Well, my therapist told me. No,
That's fair.
yeah, I'm uh I'm a huge proponent of therapy, dude. I've been in therapy pretty much since high school, and I actually just the funny thing is I just quit. I just quit last year, and so I was in probably therapy for 10 years, and not because there's really anything wrong with me per se, but gosh, it's nice to just have somebody to offload all your
Yeah.
stuff you want to vent about, and have an unbiased person who can look from the outside, and diagnose kind of what's going on and help you reach. And I'm not a good decision maker. You talk about decisions, like, I'm not great at making decisions, but just having somebody who's a life coach or a cheerleader for you is just huge, right? And that can be a family member, that can be your spouse, that can be your therapist, anybody. So listen to outside advice if it's somebody you can trust. Now, my therapist isn't a business person, and I would think about that at times, because she'd be like, you got to kind of like let something go. I'm like, you're not a business person. I'm like, well, and the funny thing is, she actually is a business person because she owns her practice. So I'm thinking, it's funny, like, we just don't want to we don't want to take advice sometimes. It's just sometimes it takes something really hard to hit us on the head for us to like change. And that's Craig, I think you said on a recent podcast, the pain of staying the same has to be greater than the pain of growing.
Yep.
Mm.
I
Yep.
think I'm paraphrasing or
You
whatever.
you
Yeah,
nailed
got
it.
it.
You nailed it.
So, don't be afraid if you're for somebody who's just in it right now. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And I think if you are that busy right now with real estate media, because you can have your photos outsourced now with auto HDR. It's easy. You shouldn't have to be working too late in the evenings on that end of things. Start figuring out what you can delegate, um, and try to get a VA to help you. That's the lowest hanging fruit. They are so affordable and so helpful. Like my VA yesterday, she helps me manage my inbox, and she's like, "We're gonna start using labels on all your emails." Like, I've been using email my whole life, And I've never thought to label the emails. Like I just have them in my inbox and I know what's what in my own head. But she's like, yeah, we're gonna like start labeling these. And yeah, sure enough, I opened up my inbox yesterday and everything's labeled, organized. And I go, wow, that's really nice. I can't believe I've been doing this wrong the whole time. It's just people have different perspectives, different strengths. And so that VA is going to be able to help you if you can get them to just quality control and deliver your photos for you in the morning. That's going to open up your day. You're going to be able to start your day better. And you can, even if you can just have a, that's the great thing about VAs too, is you can set how many hours you want them to work. If you want your VA to work 3 hours, that's so affordable. That's probably just a couple medium-sized shoots a month. And if you're that busy, just, and it's a muscle too, right? Like delegation is a muscle. And so it's something we have to train ourselves to do. It doesn't come naturally to a lot of people, I don't think. And it certainly doesn't come natural to me. So just start trying to flex that muscle of asking for help and outsourcing something. What's one thing you can outsource today? And just
That's
know
good.
too that, like me, you just make a decision. And in some ways that decision was good because it took a lot off my plate and maybe I had more time to think and plan and strategically grow. Um, and I also learned from it. So, there's any decision you make probably isn't going to be the worst case scenario that you think in your mind.
Right.
And it probably isn't the absolute best scenario you think in your mind. It's probably somewhere in the middle. And you're going to learn from it if it's not the best decision in the world. And if it's a great decision, you'll learn, well, I'm going to do more of that going forward. So there's really no wrong answers. We're all just learning and trying to grow and do our best. And so, yeah, it's just a learning curve.
Yeah. I have a phrase that a coach used with me, and he would like I would, we would talk on these calls. We would get on weekly and talk through business and talk through, life things. And he found that I was negative, like continuously like negative towards, oh, that was not the best, or why'd I make that? And he would always use this phrase with me. It's like, Todd, we're all just a bunch of silly humans. And he would use the word silly strategically because it's like silly can only be really one thing, like, like jovial, smiling, like that's silly. And it's not serious. It's not even like anywhere in between. Silly is just like a fun, at least in my definition. And I still use that to this day because I can go very serious very quick. And I have to think like we're just a bunch of silly humans. Like it was silly that I made that mistake. And, I call them gaps now, or we made that error, whatever you want to call it. But I've laid these things in my life as just verbals. Verbals are big for me just because I think some of us, at least me, I can tend to go negative very quick. And I can stay there. And this idea of like, hey, we're just silly. Like, I think that's one thing that's really helped me. And it sounds like you talking to, your therapist as well, like allows just someone to be like, I don't know that that's reality. Like maybe that's your truth, but that's not true.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, it's just so easy when you're in the thick of doing business and you've got all these shoots to get out that just everything seems so uh like dire.
Yeah.
Everything's so
Pressing.
pressing, serious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just had that this week. I just had something this week happen where uh we asked a realtor if we could be 15 minutes late to a shoot, and I don't like that. I don't like that a lot. And it wasn't that big of a deal. But yeah, everything's not quite as bad as it seems when you're just in it. And something, oh my gosh, this is like so basic, but something that helps me is just like go eat a cookie.
I think that needs to be our show intro. Go eat a cookie and just cut to our intro. I love that, Clay.
Seriously, if I'm like really just feeling like overwhelmed, like a little neurotic, like it's like just go. Like I'm usually just hungry.
Hangry. You're hangry.
Angry.
Yes, exactly. And
Cookie,
I will
Snickers
say, like
bar.
4 out of 5 times that is the solution. So
Mhm.
yeah, this isn't me trying to say go eat junk food. There's so many things you can do. Like I said, balance is going to help you. If you get out and do a walk or run or whatever,
Yeah.
just be Todd. I know you do basketball. we have to have those things that help us relieve stress. And that's just super important. Like, I've learned too, being the boss, when I show up and I haven't been doing the things that I need to do to like be in a good headspace, that's not good for my team, right? So the stakes raise a little bit as you start to bring people on. You're a little bit more accountable. I mean, you're always super accountable as a business owner, but you're just accountable in a different way, right? Um, because you're responsible for your culture, and
Right.
you have to be mindful of that, and you can't show up hangry. So
There's my takeaway for the whole episode
For
here.
sure.
Just don't be angry.
and you know what, guys, too, like, I want to talk about this. You guys talked about this probably like 4 episodes ago. Todd, you were talking about being on the bus to a basketball game and just talking about people using social
Yes.
media. You guys sent out for Spiro Sync, like the list of breakout sessions that you could lead or just ideas for topics. And I was scrolling through everything, and there's tons of great topics on there about growth. And they're really, when I hit burnout though and avoiding burnout, I was like, yes, I feel like this is a message people need, because right now, every piece of messaging that we're receiving from the world, if we're on Instagram or YouTube or any social platform, which we're all addicted to it, you are seeing people who are doing the most all the time. And you are feeling like, oh, I'm not enough. This person's business is doing amazing. And this person, like, it's so unfortunate, and it just really steals the joy out of our life. And one reason that I like talking about avoiding burnout, and more specifically, I guess, balance, is because I don't feel like we have enough voices out there that are telling people like, it's okay to go at your pace. You are not the number that your business did this month. Like, at the end of the day, that is not like the defining factor of who you are. This is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And, we're so used to just seeing all this instant gratification. Like, what gets highlighted online are the businesses that go from 0 to 1 million in like 2 years, and that's great. That's awesome for those people. But I would almost say that's the exception rather than the rule. And so I just want to, like, I feel like we all just kind of like need a mom right now who's like, you're doing good, honey. You're doing good. Like, and so, if I can just like help people be like, yes, you're on the right path. Life is just a series of decisions. You're going to make them, and sometimes they're going to be the right ones, and sometimes you're going to learn from them. But just keep going, try to find balance. Um, yeah, don't compare yourself to everybody else all the time. And I am super guilty of that. And I've actually had to pretty much get off of all social media because
I was going to ask you, Clay, if you what it sounds like you've been very strategic about social media, and social media can be. I agree with you 1,000%. Like, I think social media has taken over our lives, taken over our kids' brains. Like, we give kids laptops in schools because we think it's going to make them learn better, and we put. Anyways, I won't go on my rant, but what practical things have you done because you realize, like, hey, this social media thing's like a ticking time bomb in my life?
yeah, well, so much of it's just literally recognizing how you feel after you're using it. I think the Wall Street Journal I saw an article on there a few weeks back that they did a study of high school women volleyball players. And what they did was they had them play normally, and then they had them get on their phone and scroll for 30 minutes before a game. And what they found was that their performance dropped after they had scrolled for 30 minutes, because they concluded basically that it took mental energy to do that scrolling for 30 minutes. And so you have to listen to how you feel after you've used that, after you've been on social media. And I'm going to just roll the dice here and say that a lot of us don't feel fantastic after we've scrolled reels for 30, 40 minutes plus and have seen everybody with the best house and the best dog and the best family and the best career and all that. And so once you kind of know that, you're like, okay, well, I don't feel good. And maybe you do feel great, and that's fine. But if you don't, then I think creating barriers. One book that I read that was super helpful and just kind of like organizing my life was Atomic Habits by James Clear. And he talks about environment a lot in Atomic Habits. So asking yourself, how do I make it harder to get on my phone? and how do I make it easier to do the behaviors I want to do?
Hmm.
And so any barrier you can create between you and that phone when you don't want to be on it. So for me, that looks like I don't have a charger for my phone in my bedroom. And so that's in a different room, and I put it in there on the charger before I go to bed. And that took me a while to really start implementing. There were a lot of days where my phone was dead because I would bring it into the bedroom. I'd be like, it'd be okay. It'll be okay. But now I'm pretty good at that. You can set screen time limits. I know those aren't perfect. One thing that I did was there's a product out there called a brick.
I've seen ads for that. Yeah.
I bought one and I love it. I've got a little like magnetic coat rack right inside my front door, so I just magnet it on there. And at 7 o'clock, 7:45, my brick starts, and so like YouTube, Reddit, even the news gets blocked, and I can't get back onto those again until 9 in the morning. And I have my email shut off at 7:45, so I can't check that either. And just talk about intentional, like, I'm just more present with Corey, and I get to choose kind of what I want to do more intentionally. Um, I started like, and you kind of start using your phone differently. Like, I asked Claude, like, what can I do productively on the internet, like that's not scrolling, and like he had ideas, and I downloaded Duolingo, so I'm like learning Spanish right
Well,
now,
that's
so that's
cool.
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Muy bien.
Yeah, use your phone for what it's supposed to be used for. Not don't be a product for these social media companies. But
Oh, I
everybody's
like that, Clay.
So
I
true.
like that. Don't be a product. Wow, that was
yeah,
good.
yeah. So yeah, that's just distancing yourself in any way you can, and that looks different for different people. But as a business owner, it can become your life. It can just totally consume you to where you forget how to like talk to people who aren't business owners.
Well, we justify it, right, Clay? We justify it because it's all for the good of the business, and the business is going to take us where we want to go eventually, maybe sometime, but we're going to sacrifice everything right now, including our health and our relationships, because we're just all in.
Yeah, and that goes back to me being like 20 and selling real estate and being like, I can do this forever. I can do this forever. I can keep up this pace. And then, you haven't talked to your friends in 4 years and they live in Arizona and you haven't gone to visit them. And you're like, oh, yeah, well, I'm probably going to have to do something with this relationship. Otherwise, it's going to fizzle out. So, yeah, it's all things in balance. For me, I've learned like when things are in balance, you can still grow your business, and you can still work on other things in your life. It's okay. Like I said, it's okay to have seasons where you just push and sprint. And I think at the beginning, that's super common because your back's against the wall. Like you've either just left a job, you're trying to leave a job, you need your income to be up to a certain level. It feels like survival, which that's intense, and that instinct kicks in, and that's a good thing. But at the same time, you can't live on that instinct forever. But yeah, in seasons, I have to have a come to Jesus meeting a lot, like with like everything I say I want to get done in a quarter or a month or a week or even in a day. Like I'm like even Corey, I'll hear Corey make a list of everything he's going to do today, and I go in my head, I'm like, I don't think he's going to get that all done. I'm not going to say it, but we just have to be realistic with what we can do because we're human at the end of the day, and we need to go easy on ourselves. So
For sure.
yeah.
For sure. Clay, a little bit of a random question here because so you came to Sync and we had some good times, and we had some fun one of the evenings,
Oh,
and you are like a master like I have envy of you. Like I stood in the back with my wife, like so I'm not an introvert at all, but I like in a large crowd and like if I have to like, I can't sing. I don't really move my body well. I tend to go towards the back. Dude, I mean, where have you always sung? Like it was incredible.
that was crazy. That was literally crazy. So Todd, I live in the middle of nowhere. We don't have karaoke bars like that around me. So I don't know what got into me. That just seemed like really fun. And Tyler Graham like was over there like queuing up his karaoke, and he just opened the floodgates. I was like, I'm doing this. Like, so, but yes, I do have a musical background.
Okay.
I grew up like singing at church and like being on a worship team, and then I went to school and I was going to be a music teacher. So
Okay.
Like I've done musicals and all sorts of stuff in my really young years, and it's not something I really get to do anymore. And that was honestly so fun. Like I felt
Mhm.
like my heart just opened up after that because that is what I love to do is just be creative. And not that karaoke is creative, but I got to just have fun and use my gifts, you could say. And that was just awesome. That was kind of almost an aha moment for me coming home.
Mm.
I was like, how can I just, kind of be more in touch with that side of myself?
Oh,
Because you wouldn't know it probably, but I am an introvert. Like I do really well one on one with people, but like in a big group like Spiro Sync, I
mhm,
like get kind of like I kind of shy away. I go to the edge of the room. I
mhm.
have to really be intentional. Like I'm just gonna lock arm with this one person and like talk to them, and then maybe a group forms around me, and then we'll start like talking that way. But yeah, I guess I'm just kind of comfortable though getting on stage randomly. You wouldn't think being an introvert, but it's ingrained in me through years of practice, I
Well,
guess.
and
So
that's fabulous. I think one thing that you said is, like, this was in your like, you grew up doing this, and we all have those things, and I think just naturally as humans, we are just like, "Yeah, I don't do that anymore." It's like, "Well, wait a minute, like, you sung your whole life, like, and mostly everybody listening to this they're very creative or they have some creativity in their bones. You're not gonna start a media company if you don't have a creative bone. I think about, like, when's the last time I actually picked up the camera and was like, you know, did something creative. So when's the last time you've challenged yourself? When's the last time that you've gotten back to something that are in your roots? I love that you said that because it was like this moment for me where I was like, wait a minute. It's like, well, no, that makes so much sense because that's the way you're cut. Like that's in your genes. Like if you can do that, and Clay's very like there's some karaoke that's like, okay, they're like Clay can really sing, like no joke, y'all, like sing, like high, low, like he's got it. And
oh,
and it's
thanks.
funny, and I hope it's okay I share this, like, you actually hand wrote me a postcard with this beautiful heavyweight postcard and said something about being an introvert and, like, and we didn't get to connect so much. I'm like, "Wait a minute. You're not in there's no way you're an introvert because I was the one standing at the back of the room at the karaoke place, and you're the one, like, rocking the stage." So, I found that so fascinating, but it's like, good for you for, like, saying, "I'm gonna do this," and, like, stepping outside of something that might be uncomfortable.
Yeah. Oh, well, it was so fun, and I loved that event, and Spiro Sync was just awesome. Yeah, like I said in that card, I just had so much fun. I came back, I was just such on such a high. So many like tidbits of great wisdom, but also just feeling like my heart was full, and uh, yeah, when you're especially when you're a smaller business, you know, you don't get to talk to people a ton throughout the day. Like you see your realtors if you're still out doing photos and you see them for 15, 20, 30 minutes while you're in the house doing the shoot, but they're with clients and unless you're calling somebody on the road, it gets kind of lonely. So it was just awesome to I'm more in the office now, but that's me still just in the office. I'm not out talking to people every day. So it was just awesome to get to talk to so many awesome people. I met so many great, amazing people there. And you all know who you are, and hope to see you again next year. And yeah, but thanks, Todd, for making that possible. And I was just as surprised by the karaoke as you were. And I think Colleen recorded a couple videos, Shannon recorded a couple videos,
Yeah.
and she sent them to me, and I sent them to Corey, and he was like showing them to my family, and they were just like, "Oh my god," because I don't do that, and so they were just like, "What's going on?"
Well, good for you because I was thoroughly impressed. I'm like, "Man, Clay can sing, like, this dude can sing."
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, I do the car karaoke on my way to the few photo shoots I do these days. So but
Uh
yeah, it was fun. It was just great. Thanks, Todd, for just having that event and bringing people together. And I think people took a lot from it.
Well, there will be more. Thank you for that. There will be more. This is a good time to tee up Alex Coombs, who was at Sync as well, and she's with Northern Spruce Media in Hamilton, Ontario. She actually is doing a conference as well. And she's like, hey, you guys fired me up to finally do it up in Canada. Anybody can go, but she's like, nothing like this exists up in Canada. So it's actually coming up here for all of you check out her website, search her, find her on Instagram, but it's the end of April. So it's coming up quick here. If you're in Canada and listening, so this is closer to you than coming out to us in Dayton or going to, Las Vegas or somewhere in the States. But check that out if you're looking for that community and just want to get out and be in a room of people that, do what we do every day.
That's awesome. She's doing that. She is a super engaging speaker, super nice person too, just super down to earth. She'll chat with you, and yeah, that'll be a great event, I'm sure.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. Of course, I'll be there, and some of my team, and Matt with Auto HDR is going to be there, and a whole list of other names. Clay, as we wrap up here with the idea of owner burnout, and there's people listening to this at all different stages of their business and life. Like, what closing advice would you give to someone who's out there is like, yeah, Clay doesn't understand my situation, or mine's different, and they just keep going in this towards this burnout direction?
I would say just really be open to advice, even though it feels like it doesn't apply to you. Um, so much of business is learning how a business model works and then just replicating that business model. And if it works for other people, it is going to work for you too. And so that means being part of a group, whether it's going to Spiro Sync, whether it's being in the Real Estate Photographer Pro group on Facebook, whether it's being part of a peer group, getting outside advice and perspective is really valuable. And just be open to that, because that is going to get you where you need to go. Because being in your head only gets you so far. And just be open to people who are farther along than you in their business and have some wisdom to share. And yeah, and that's so funny because Todd, I'm actually going to share this. This is a little personal, but your speech, you did a big talk at Rep in November about brokerage deals.
Mm-hmm.
And you were up there, and I had not done a brokerage deal, and I had tried last year to do a brokerage deal, and I had a meeting with the broker, and it didn't really go great. Like the broker was like, "Well, I think we want to get paid for this." Like they wanted extra, like they wanted me to pay them to be like, instead of just the discount, they wanted something on top. And I was like, I don't know about this. It was like a brokerage of 80 agents, so it was I went for the big whale, like right away, and I just, I told him I'd get him some information, and I just kind of thought about it a little more. I was like, I'm going to table this. I just don't feel like this is right for me right now. Well, I had a brokerage approach me this week, small boutique brokerage, and they said, would you give us a discount if everybody in our office used you? And I said, yeah, I think I would. And I got on to Claude, and we talked about it, like what that would look like and how to structure it. And yeah, we signed that thing. We didn't even sign it, but we just all agreed to it this week. So that was my first brokerage deal. But all that's to say, like Todd was up there at Spiro Sync, and I was like, I don't know. I don't think this really applies to me. I don't want to do a brokerage deal. I tried it. Didn't work. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. And I took other things away from that event. But now that I have one, I'm like, discounts for volume? That might be something to think about. If I get more volume, it might be worth it. Just I'm stubborn, man. I'm stubborn. So just be open to what people are telling you in the community, and be receptive, and know that you are not the exception. You're fallible, and you are just as able to grow your business as everybody else is. And I'm going to say this too. I live in a town of 7,000 people. And I was talking to so many people at Spiro Sync who were like, oh yeah, my market's 4,000 realtors. My nearest MLS is 450.
Yeah.
And I run a business I'm happy with. I'm not like a mega whale or anything, but I could be in my head and be like, well, I'm in a small market, and that limits me. But just don't have limiting beliefs that certain things don't apply to you because you have certain things that are unique to you, right? You can do it just like everybody else. So yeah.
That's great feedback, Clay. And that is another thing about, like, if you are influenced by, and we're all influenced by the world, but social media, what it does is like, well, I can't do that because look, they're in sunny Los Angeles, or, they're in New York City. And it's like, you can't change some variables in your life, and focusing on what you can't change, as much as Clay tries, he could really try to get more people into his town. 7,000 might grow to 8,000 if Clay, he hits the ground for 5 years and tries to get people to relocate into his town. He's never getting to 70,000, which isn't even a big city, yet alone 700,000 or 7 million. So, only focus on what you can change. And if you spend too much time focused on what you can't change, I think that's a slippery slope into owner burnout.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. So you got this, guys. If you're out there listening, go get it. It's spring. We're ramping up. Agents are getting busy, but they're not too busy to notice you yet. If you reach out and go do a brokerage presentation or send a card or whatever, yeah, you got it.
Love that. Our guest today is Clay Whisler with Whisler Studios. Clay, thank you so much for sharing all the insight and stories. If a listener out there wants to check out what you're doing or wants to send you a message, is there a good way that they can find you?
Yep. We're just whistlerstudios.com. You can message us on Instagram too at Whistler Studios. Yeah, that's how you can find us. So,
well, Clay, thank you so much for coming on today. It was great to see you at Sync, and have a great rest of your day. And we'll see you again next year.
Sounds great. Thanks, Todd. Have a great day.
Yeah, you as well. Well, that's going to wrap it up for us today. Thank you so much for joining in. We hope that this series has been fun and educational to all of you. We just love these guests that came, these individuals that came and spent their time putting together these presentations. And we just felt there was so much value at Sync that we wanted to continue to spread it. So we have a few more of these coming up. In the meantime, if you have a question, please email us hello@spiro.media. Also, if you did not see Craig, who has he's jumped off of the podcast because he had a shoot to go to. We're running a business too here. But he posted his tattoo video for you all, where he went and the tattoos he had been talking about, his son Zeke recorded, or his son Eben recorded it. And that is posted. So be sure to check out the YouTube channel if you haven't seen that yet. There's some fun stuff in there, and his experience in getting those tattoos. All right, everybody. Hey, we appreciate all of you. Be sure to take time to be thankful for the blessings that you have and take a breath. We'll see you all next week.
Thank you for joining us for the Spiro Podcast, Managing Your Real Estate Photography and Videography Business. This is a production of Spiro and Wow Video Tours. You can find out more about Spiro's real estate media business management software at our website, spiro.media.